No. Very clearly, this is more of a psychological blow than a physical blow. And the intention of the blow is to wake her up from that spell in which she lives. But it wouldn't work if you've been raising your hand all the time to beat you. If you never raise your hand ever, and for the first time now you raise your hand, then the possibility exists that she might, out of shock, psychological shock, she might wake up and the spell might be broken. And so he said, come back, and he revoked, rescinded, cancelled the punishment for the man. This then is the beginning of the mechanics of marriage in Islam. That a man must maintain his wife. The Messenger of Allah was 25 years of age. He did not get married. We know that he wanted to marry his cousin, the daughter of Abu Talib. And we know that marriage proposal was not accepted by his uncle. Maybe because he was not as yet firmly, economically settled. His uncle did not agree to it. And so he reached the age of 25 and he was not yet married. When the opening came, and he got a chance to lead the caravan of that very rich widow, Khadija radiallahu ta'ala, it was a success. He brought back big profits. And she heard such wonderful things about this man that her heart was touched and her heart was moved. And then she sent Nafisa with a proposal of marriage. And Nafisa came to him and asked him, "O Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, what are your plans for marriage?" "I have no plans." What about if someone were to offer marriage to you and does not need to be maintained? He has her own means. We asked, who could that be? And then she said, Khadija radiallahu ta'ala. He was courageous to say yes. Because if you were poor and your wife rich, it could create a problem for you. And you are 25 and she is 40, it could create a problem for you. But it is the goodness of his heart to put a good meaning to everything, to hope for the best in everything, not to have a mind that is negative, not to have a mind that is suspicious. I don't trust anyone. Not that kind of man. And so he said yes. And he married her. And she put her wealth at his disposal. And they lived happily together. As soon as a man has the means to maintain a woman, he's under an obligation to marry. He doesn't have the freedom to say, man, me ready yet now. I take it my time. I take it my time. No. He's under an obligation to marry as soon as he has the means to maintain. Why? Because Allah said it. He sent it down in Surah An-Nisa, didn't he? That men have an obligation to maintain women. So if you have the means to maintain her, and you do not marry, you will have to answer to Allah for that. Because Allah said it in the Quran, I have sent you here to maintain women. I have sent you here to guard and protect women. Are you taking your sweet time? I have sent you here to maintain women. I have sent you here to guard and protect women. Do you take in your seat then? You'll have to answer for that. So long as she was alive, he never took another wife. Why? Is it because he gave a preference to the institution of monogamy? That a man should have only one wife? And that is why so long as Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha was alive, he never took another wife? Oh, that's false. That is absolute rubbish. That has no foundation whatsoever. The reason why he never took another wife, so long as she was alive, was because it was with her wealth that he was being maintained. Out of respect for that, he did not have wealth of his own. It was her wealth with which he was being maintained. You cannot take another wife in that situation. But when she died, and he inherited of her wealth, and also from the Anfal, the spoils of war, 1/5 of which were for Allah and His Messenger. And the spoils of war started coming in after we had the Hijrah. Then the Messenger of Allah took many wives because he could afford to maintain those wives. And so a man must labor in order to be able to maintain his wife. But when he marries her, the property and the wealth that he brings into the marriage is his. And the property and the wealth which she brings into the marriage is hers. He has no right to her property. And she has no right to his property. He has a duty, however, to maintain her from his property, unless she places at his disposal her property. If a divorce takes place, then when she leaves with her property, and he leaves the marriage with his property. At all times in the marriage, what is his, and what is hers. Not like someone who said to her husband, what is mine, and what is yours is mine. Subhanahu wa ta'ala in His wisdom has ordained laws of inheritance. And laws of inheritance are synchronized, connected with the functions of the male and the female. In consequence of which a son gets 2 shares to a daughter's 1 share. The modern godless world denounces that as discriminatory against women. No, should be equal share. Why 2 shares for a son and 1 share for a daughter? The answer? Because he, the son, has an obligation to maintain his wife. Whereas she, the daughter, does not have any obligation to spend from her own wealth to maintain herself. This is why he gets 2 shares to her 1 share. The modern godless world says, well, we don't need a man to maintain us. Women